Getting into big law is a huge deal, but once you get in, then what? How do you not get fired? Or better yet, how do you do well? What does it actually look like to be a good big law associate, or even better, a great big law associate? And we don't really talk a lot about what happens after you land that first law firm job out of law school. So that's exactly what we're going to dive into in today's video. So if you're curious about what it takes to become a badass law student and lawyer, then definitely hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell so that you can be notified every time a new video drops each week. And with that, if you guys are ready to go, smash that like button and we'll dive in. So when we're talking about what makes a good big law associate, number one, do the small stuff really well. Be a perfectionist with the details. And you guys may have heard of being detail-oriented as a really, really sought-after characteristic of a big law associate. And that's because the big law structure is very hierarchical. So when you start as a junior associate, you're going to be doing a lot of lower level tasks. So on the litigation side, you're going to be doing document review, case research, written discovery. On the transactional side, you're going to be doing due diligence and document drafting. And so all of those tasks have an insane level of detail to them. And so we want to do that stuff perfectly in order to build that credibility and build that sense of trust with the senior associates and partners that you're working for. Because if they see small or lazy mistakes in something really, really basic, they're not going to be inclined to give you higher level work when the outcome really, really matters. And so if you can do this stuff, this small, tiny, menial stuff really, really well, you're going to develop that trust relationship and they're going to give you more substantive work more quickly. Number two, be available. The trade-off for getting paid as much as you do as a first-year big law associate is that expectation that you're going to be available whenever the team needs you. So yeah, that includes nights, weekends, holidays, vacations. And so I would definitely recommend heading into that first year as a big law associate with the idea of, I want to work hard, I want to learn as much as I can, I want to get as many touches on as many projects as possible so that you can lay the groundwork not only for your own expertise, but also developing this reputation as someone who is very reliable and who always picks up the slack when needed. That's actually going to lend itself to more flexibility and more ownership of your schedule later on because you've already done the front-loaded work of developing this reputation for yourself and having people perceive you as someone who is a hard worker and available. So yes, there is a place for the conversation around boundaries, and there are very specific and strategic ways to create those. But overall, I would really recommend going in with eyes wide open in the sense of how much time and how much availability is really going to be expected of you, especially if you want to stand out, especially if you want to be seen as a value add to the team. Number three, be a pleasure to work with. And I know this sounds like a throwaway cliche, but it is absolutely so powerful. And the reason is because when you start out as a junior associate, you don't have any experience or expertise. And so the thing that we do have going for us is our work ethic, our availability, and the attitude that we show up with. And so when you picture a law firm, especially a big law firm, we're talking about fast-paced, high-stakes, very intense, very stressful environment. And so the energy that you bring into a room absolutely matters. You also have to remember that when you are starting at a big law firm, after that first work project, work doesn't actually get assigned to you anymore. You have to go and seek it out. And so you actually want senior associates and partners to want to work with you. And nobody wants to work with someone who is in the trenches on a Wednesday at 3 a.m. or a Saturday afternoon who's just complaining the entire time about how long the hours are and how hard the work is. So I really, really encourage you to show up, be excited to be there, excited to learn, never act like work is beneath you, be down to do whatever the team needs, because when you are a pleasure to work with, people want to work with you. So we talked about what it takes to be a good big law associate, but what about if you want to be a great big law associate? What does that look like? Well, number one, you want to be entrepreneurial, which I know can sound devastating for some of us because we just got through 3 years of law school and all we want to do is put our head down and become legal experts and do the work. But the reality is that in any law firm, especially a big law firm, after that first work assignment, nobody's watching out for you anymore. It's nobody's job to make sure you're hitting your billable hours except for you. It's nobody's job to make sure you have work except for you. And so really taking your own career in your hands and seeking out senior associates, partners, getting to know who works on what cases and deals, the type of clients, the type of projects they need help with is really, really going to make all of the difference, not only so that you have the work that you need to hit your billable hours, but also more and more and more substantive work so that you can be seen as more and more of a value add for the teams that you're on. Another thing to keep in mind is making sure you're keeping track of those cases and deals you're working on, the projects and tasks that you're doing, and the value that you're adding to each team so that you can advocate for yourself to get on these other types of projects, and also in conversations around compensation, promotion, or outside of the law firm opportunities. The second thing to start layering in is to anticipate needs. And so this is really tough to do for those first 6 to 12 months at a law firm because everything is brand new. But after that time period, you really want to start to think about, how can I over deliver? How can I give more than what I'm being asked? Because as you look at your partner say over and over, we're not just paying you to do, we're paying you to think. And so at some point, there's going to be an unspoken expectation that you don't just do what you're asked and you don't just follow orders, but that you really think through what's being asked of you and how you can take it to the next level. So for example, if you've been asked to research a particular area of the law and you know that that research is going to be used in a brief, go ahead and draft the paragraph for that argument to use in that brief. Or maybe you've been asked to review a deposition and you know that that deposition testimony is going to be used in a Q&A for another witness. Go ahead and draft the Q&A so that you save the senior associate or partner that work, and also so that you show that you understand what's happening on a broader level, on a higher level, and you can add additional value to the team than simply and specifically what it is you're being asked to do. The third thing to layer in is to be aware of the politics. And I know that that can sound incredibly frustrating, but law firms are an organization of humans. And so it's never going to be just about the quality of work product you create that determines your success at the law firm. And so knowing that going in is going to be really helpful. And so when I say be aware of the politics, I mean be aware of the movements and the inner workings of the firm outside of just the work that you're turning in. And so things to keep in mind are, be on the lookout for partners that are good to work with. And I don't just mean the cases and deals that they work on or the clients that they bring in, but which partners tend to be really good mentors or advocates for junior associates. Who is going to go out of their way to give you opportunities that other partners may not? Another thing to keep in mind are what type of firm activities that are non-work related are good and worthwhile to invest in. So things like partner associate committees, summer associate recruiting, any CLEs that partners need help with, and so kind of all these other pieces that aren't technically billable work. And then what about partner preferences? So when you are working for a partner, making relationships with the paralegals and legal secretaries that work for that partner so that you can understand, do they have any preferences with regard to font, or do they come into the office a little bit earlier, stay a little bit later, or what is their coffee preference? And so just getting to know some of these more human elements of the inner workings of a firm can really, really make a difference in your time while you're working there. So that's it, guys. If you have any questions about Big Law, definitely drop them in the comment section below. And if you are ready to know what type of law may be the best fit for you, then definitely check out the What Type of Lawyer Should I Be quiz so that you can get an insight into what type of law may be the best match for you. And if you're curious about more Big Law content, then definitely check out these two videos over here. And I will see you guys in the next one.